Well, let's start with a big story that is unfolding in the United States, where Hurricane Irma is nowhere near done. The residents in Bahamas and the Cuba are bracing for one of the most powerful Atlantic storms in over a century as Hurricane Irma continues on its destructive path. Remember, Hurricane Irma had rattled buildings, downed trees and smashed boats as it stormed through the British Virgin Islands with winds of around 185 miles per hour. Now, the storm, which is said to be the size of France, has ravaged small islands in the northeast Caribbean. Now, a video that's been posted on the social media from the British Virgin Islands shows the fury of Hurricane Irma and its aftermath. Now, the death toll has gone up to at least 23 across the Caribbean. And also satellite images that have been released by NASA show 3 hurricanes which are barreling west. And this is for the first time since 2010. The 3 active hurricanes are barreling simultaneously through the Atlantic. As Hurricane Irma makes its way towards Florida, 2 other hurricanes are also gaining strength as they near land. The Hurricane Jose is now an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm with maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. It's still forecast to steer north, potentially avoiding any impact to the state of Florida in the United States. Meanwhile, Hurricane Katia has continued to strengthen as it meanders in the Gulf of Mexico. The storm has winds which are of the speeds of 100 miles per hour, and this is forecast to make a landfall in Mexico today. Meanwhile, long lines were witnessed at the gas stations in Florida as residents scurried to stock up before the storm makes its landfall over the weekend. The reports of gas shortages are already surfacing, though Florida has already declared a state of emergency in preparation, freeing up resources for shelters and evacuations. The US President Donald Trump has released a statement saying that Irma is a storm of absolutely historic destructive potential.
Hurricane Irma approaches, my administration is working closely with our state and local partners to help save lives, protect families, and assist those in need. This is a storm of absolutely historic destructive potential. I ask everyone in the storm's path to be vigilant and to heed all recommendations from government officials and law enforcement.
Earlier, an animation that was released by NASA showed Hurricane Irma's path across the Caribbean during the period from Monday to Thursday. Now, Irma is ranked as one of the 5 most powerful Atlantic hurricanes in the last 80 years and the strongest Atlantic storm that's been recorded by the National Hurricane Center outside the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. The damage by the hurricane has been to the tune of approximately $150 million so far. In fact, nearly 90% of the buildings and vehicles on the island have been destroyed by the powerful Category 5 storm. Now, Hurricane Harvey has barely left the buildings, and yet the United States finds itself bracing for a second storm. And Irma is anything but a lightweight. Now, this is said to be one of the most powerful hurricanes that the Atlantic Ocean has seen in over 80 years. Now, if that weren't enough to deal with, 2 other storms are also tailing Hurricane Irma, Jose and Katia.
Last month, Hurricane Harvey wreaked havoc on Texas. Now Irma is headed for Florida, where it is expected to make landfall on Saturday. It's a storm of epic proportions. And with it, President Donald Trump, who pulled the US out of the Paris Climate Accord, may find nature's fury knocking on his waterfront estate, Mar-a-Lago. Florida has declared a state of emergency as it hunkers down for Irma's landfall, and this is why the hurricane has left devastation in its wake, killing at least 14 people in the Caribbean, displacing thousands of others. This even as Hurricane Jose heads for the region.
We are threatened now potentially by yet another storm, Hurricane Jose. And if that is the case and it's coming our way, then clearly we will have to evacuate the residents of Barbuda. In fact, I'm of the view that as it stands now, that Barbuda is barely habitable. And if we have yet another storm coming in a matter of days, we will have to make special arrangements to evacuate all Barbudans and bring them over here until we can restore some level of normalcy.
The French half of Saint Martin, where another of President Trump's properties lies, is 95% destroyed. Most of Puerto Rico is without power. Irma's churning winds are expected to bring severe conditions to parts of the Florida Peninsula and Florida Keys from Saturday onward. Damage from Hurricane Harvey is already upward of $150 million. Irma is expected to throw up expenses of its own. And ironically, the president will find it necessary to pull out the checkbook for climate-related spending. Bureau Report, WION.